Welcome to Queerpreneurs Unleashed. I'm your host, Dustyn Baulkham, and my pronouns are he, him. And today I'm excited to have John with me. John.
Hey, Dustyn. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for being here. Tell us a little about yourself. A little intro.
So I'm John. My pronouns are he, him. And I own a couple wonderful little retail stores here in Kelowna.
You do? Tailblazers.
Tailblazers, health food store for pets.
I actually got to stop there. I need some dog food before I leave on Monday. I was able at that time, right, I'm seeing John. I got to remember to actually swing by one of the stores and pick up dog food. Half the time I forget at the house, and then thankfully the one on Kelowna's right by my parents.
And just know that if there was ever a time that, let's say you left and you're like, oh, shit, I need dog food, just let me know.
I would. Just
be like, help.
I mean, Mom's also just gone in and they've helped her once before because I
Yeah.
did forget or she ran out or something. So the Kelowna location is quite convenient for that.
Well, and if you were on the other side of the highway, the Glenmore location would be just as easy.
Yeah, I just got to time it because of the stupid turns over there.
You know, I find the highway, if you don't need to cross the highway, I live in the Lower Mission, I don't really come across the highway for much.
Yeah. So let's start off with a bit about you personally, and how do you identify?
I identify as gay.
Okay, and how long ago did you come out?
I came out in 12th grade.
Oh,
Many
just a
moons
couple years
ago.
How was your coming out?
You know, it wasn't the easiest, but it wasn't the hardest as well. I hear stories from people, and mine definitely wasn't similar to that. I was fortunate. My mother was very supportive, and, I had a decent group of friends. And, I think the one thing, though, is that, so I started going to the bars when I was very young.
Okay.
Which didn't help me going to school by any means.
Obviously.
But it was I had a much older, group of friends than, so really the people at high school were just there during the day, so to speak.
Okay.
But that being said, grade 12 year, I didn't really go to school much.
I'm assuming you graduated?
No.
You didn't graduate?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that due to the partying?
A little bit,
Yeah.
And I found that, it was weird. Growing up, education wasn't, really something that was ingrained in us,
Okay.
which is really weird because most people want their kids
Most,
to
but
be-
not everyone.
And so, so I finished high school and I didn't graduate, but then I went to Vancouver and I went to hairdressing school and
Okay.
yeah, and got in
Yeah.
a bad car accident and couldn't do that. And so, yeah, here we are.
I mean, you're the second person now that has gotten a bad car accident and cannot cut hair anymore.
Totally.
Because I know that industry's, fairly queer friendly.
Oh, totally.
I mean, I think people just kind of assume if you're male and you're cutting hair that you're queer.
Definitely. But, I know quite a few heterosexual male hairdressers, and I often ask them, do you automatically get associated that that's what you are? And quite often they are. But,
Yeah.
I think many industries, assuming things are changing and such.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's because there's a lot of industries where it's very hetero male focus, but there's still queer men in there.
Absolutely.
And even women.
We're
for that matter.
everywhere.
Yes, exactly. You never know where we're going to come out from. When you initially came out, was there any real challenges that you faced?
Well, there was definitely the bros. Well, they weren't bros back then. They were just jocks.
Right.
They definitely were not the easiest,
Okay.
but I was fortunate that I didn't really let it bug me. And I think that's because I did have that older group of friends. It was you guys are just daytime people that I see. You're not really of importance in my life, so to speak.
Okay.
But don't get me wrong. I had really good friends in high school as well that were supportive and stuff. But yeah,
That's
as
good.
a whole, it was mostly older people.
Yeah. When you talked about partying in high school, it made me think because I grew up in Saskatchewan, and then Alberta was right there. So when we were 18, we would go out not every week, but we'd drive to Medicine Hat and go out. And we'd just take turns who was driving, and it was there was the last person in our class. She was turning 18 at the beginning of June, and it was literally this countdown until her birthday. Because then it was, I don't know, if it was Wednesdays or Thursdays where it was highballs were 50 cents.
I remember it being Thursdays because it was college night.
I think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
And yes, it was because we had our morning classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We had calculus and something else, all hard classes. But we all had a spare second class, so most of us didn't show up till third class. And the teacher knew because we'd been counting down, and literally we did fuck all that day. 'Cause I think it was the last Friday of classes before finals.
How far of a drive was it from Saskatchewan to Medicine Hat?
About 45.
Oh.
We were right on the border,
Yeah.
Irvin, it was Irving. Irving was there. It was about 30 minutes, and that's where if we really wanted to just go get our own liquor, we'd drive there and drive back because there was a Shell gas station that had a tiny little liquor store in it, and they didn't even ID us even at that point. So, and again, we just take turns, and there'd be one sober driver, and the rest of us would get shit faced in the back seat.
Back in the day when you get like dollar draft.
Excuse me, yeah. But it was 50-cent highballs or $2 pitchers.
Yeah.
And it was like ridiculous.
Nowadays we would never drink that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like paralyzers.
Yeah. We've all had fun with paralyzers.
Oh God, or like
Long Island iced tea.
Yeah, or even just whiskey and Coke. I'm just like, oh, the stupid shit we did on dark liquor. Oh. And now it's been like almost 9 months of no drinking.
Really?
Yep.
Good for you.
We had when Mark and I did like our joint birthday this year, and then it was Swinging with the Stars. And I wasn't going to drink, like my birthday was going to be the last one, but then I did drink on Swinging with the Stars. I needed a little bit of liquid encouragement, but that was the last night that I drank.
Yeah, I'm not a huge drinker. So like I'll have, like if we go out for dinner or something like that, but I'm not one that like will have like a drink at home or something like that. Very, very rarely.
That was not me at all.
But it's hard also that you're like in the industry that you're going out and stuff like that. So I would imagine that would be a little bit difficult.
Totally. And then my thing was always, if I have one, I just kind of want to keep going.
See,
and
for
it's
me,
just like
I
casually, all of a
think,
sudden it's like, holy fuck, a bottle of wine's gone.
I don't drink wine.
Okay.
Barton wishes I do, but
You have
I
something
don't.
to drink with?
Yeah, I've tried it and I've tried it and I've tried it and I just cannot get onto it. But yeah, and I think for me with drinking, I think because I don't drink, it's a very, very like fine line. Like I'm talking like a couple sips from like happy drunk to like messy drunk.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm typically the designated driver.
Someone's got to do it. I mean, that's now me, which it's honestly in so many ways it's been so beneficial because we'd do shows in Kamloops and we'd have to stay overnight every time because we'd all been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
We're now at both LA, we don't drink, and one of our main performers being from Vancouver, she also doesn't drink. So it's like, why would we stay over? Let's just drive home. Yeah, it's 2 and a bit hours, but then most of us, except for the performers from out of town, we get to sleep in our own bed.
I think actually like there's a lot of people now that are not drinking. Like
A ton.
I think I saw, is there a place called Sobar opening here, which is a non-alcoholic bar that's opening up?
Yeah, there's one that I think isn't just peachy or something too. Like there's it's all non-alcoholic cocktails, and I mean, it's hard almost to go to a place now and they don't have at least one non-alcoholic beer. And
Totally.
you go to like Redbird, which actually I'm really going there after this, and they got kombucha and many different options. So.
I can't get onto the kombucha.
No,
No, I've tried it and tried it.
It's good for you.
And it totally. But in my mind, I don't think it should be carbonated.
Like it automatically carbonates because of the fermentation.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that in my mind, I expect it just to be more like a juice.
Okay.
And yeah, the carbonation throws me, and I find that kombucha, I end up burping up for the rest of the day.
Try water kefir. That's a similar type of like probiotic, but there's no carbonation to it.
Oh, okay.
So that's another one of those kind of drinks. And that was actually what they had before they went back to kombucha, was a kefir. It was like a pina colada, which normally I don't like the taste of pina coladas, but this one I was like, this is good. I can get behind this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I don't mind like a pina colada once in a while on a beach, but overall it's pretty, yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like the taste of them and the sweetness. And so that's when they had that. I was like, oh, is that really? But I taste them like, oh, this is really good. And it's all locally made. So
that's good.
It's that mother love. So obviously, you came out at a young age. So when you and your partner started your franchise at Tailblazers, you were obviously out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We bought from a lady in 2012.
Right. So 11 years. Right? Is that my math? Probably a little over. So
Yeah.
it's right at the end of 23.
Yep. A
little over 11 years.
Yeah.
And then, so you have the one location. I mean, obviously we were talking about it before because dogs and all that jazz. But so you got the KLO location, which was kind of your OG.
Totally.
Yeah. And then your second one opened how many years ago?
5 years ago.
Okay. So about five-ish years in is when you decided to open another one.
Yeah,
Give or
it
take.
was not something that we were particularly looking to do, but we found a great little location and just kind of everything just aligned. Like I had just lost my mother previously to opening our Glenmore store before starting all that. And, when my mother passed away, it just kind of puts things in perspective and you're looking at what to do and such. And so, yeah, the opportunity came up. And so we built the store because it was previously office spaces. It was actually It used to be the community policing center.
Oh yeah, that's
So it was
right.
really interesting because there was
Yeah.
like this little like jail area and stuff. And so it was interesting on how
Did
we
you
like,
keep that for as your office?
no, we knocked everything out, like all the walls, and because it was literally like so compartmentalized of like all these
Government.
offices and like interrogation rooms, and I think they had like 3 bathrooms, and yeah, so we
It's a
can.
decent sized space. I mean, obviously your other one now is much bigger because of the
Yeah, it's
addition.
interesting. So Glenmore is roughly 2,200 square feet, and it was like the
Okay.
big store because before we renovated the KLO store, it was only like 1,900, and now KLO is like 4,200.
Oh, you more than doubled.
Oh, gotcha.
I knew it was a lot bigger. I didn't realize that it was that much.
You know, we didn't want to have a store that big. Like, we definitely knew we had to expand KLO, and we didn't know if we were going to move or what we were going to do. But we have an amazing landlord at KLO, and then the daycare next door closed, and just having a really good landlord makes the difference. And so, yeah,
Totally.
we took a space bigger than what we wanted and
I mean, it
dealt
works
with
out.
construction. And
Well, and obviously you're a good tenant and all of that. So then they also want to keep you. They don't have to deal with some other trash, and then you don't have a shitty neighbor. And
totally.
I mean, it kind of wins on both sides, right?
Yeah.
And that's those situations that are great. But so with your business, how does your identity play into it, or does it, I guess, play into it in any way?
You know, I don't think that it really does play into it. You know, I'm fortunate in the industry that we are. It's a pretty open industry. You know, pet people typically are pretty easy. You know, there's definitely some difficult people that have specific
No.
opinions and needs about their pets. But as a whole, you know, I find it just a very open community. And yeah, we've never had anything said about us that I know about. Like, I'm sure that there's some people that won't shop at our store because it's owned by 2 men and such,
Sure.
but nothing that I've ever
That's good.
been privy to.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's, just wait. If you had a drag queen come host something there, that would be a different story. That one piece of shit would be there.
Oh, yes. There's
'Cause
always
you're-
that piece of shit.
Yes. We don't even mention his name. Even when we chat with Ella, like we don't talk about his name because he just doesn't deserve that mention. Has your queer identity shaped your business values and how you operate?
I think that it's probably had an effect on hiring in a sense that I feel that I'm probably a little bit more open to certain situations or staff needs or wants, so to speak. I think that it being queer, judgment, I would hope to say you're more open-minded and stuff. And so I think that can help when interviewing people because I think that you can make people a little bit more comfortable in situations.
Yeah. Have you had any potential or employees in the past that have come to apply for jobs specifically because they knew that you guys were queer?
Yes.
Yeah. What about customer-wise? Do you have people that say they've come specifically because of that?
I think that with customers, I think that our greatest form of marketing is word of mouth. And so I think that, yes, there are definitely some customers that do choose to support queer-owned businesses. I think that we're fortunate in that sense that, especially in Kelowna, I find that people want to support small business.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're part of the community, you want to support queer business.
Absolutely. Have you experienced any levels of discrimination being queer with the business?
No, not with the business.
Okay.
In life I have, but yeah, not typically in
Yeah.
the business. Like,
Do you mind talking a bit about the life side?
well, when I lived in Vancouver, I remember it was Pride, and I had a partner at the time, and I remember we were walking downtown, and literally it was during Pride, and some guys came up and were like, "Fucking fags," and totally punched him out.
Like punched your partner at the
Yeah,
time out?
and so like we had to like report a hate crime, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was such it's weird looking back on it now because I feel it's just so far from something I would experience now, which I think could be a little bit naive on my sense. But yeah, it's
Crazy.
definitely a different world now.
Yeah, but on the flip, on the same page or flip or however you want to position it. But now I feel like since the pandemic, people are more vocal than they were going into it.
I think that the pandemic literally just brought out every kind of craziness possible. Because what I found is it just, and I don't know if it's the pandemic, and I don't want to say it's what's going down in the States and such like that, but I think that it's people just voice their opinions now.
Yeah.
They're just more open, whereas before you kind of kept your shitty opinions to yourself. But now it's like a lot of people have a platform for shitty opinions. So yeah, I don't know if it's like pandemic, so to speak, or if it's just timing with what's going on in the world.
Just my thoughts on that, like having been so involved with Pride and organizing the rallies and all that, is I think some people probably before the pandemic didn't realize how easy in a sense it is to host a protest or rally, like in terms of like rules and all of that jazz. I mean, our community, bylaw and outdoor events don't seem to correspond on things, but that's a whole other story. But you can, like, theoretically, you could literally walk down to any park right now and host a protest. The only bylaw against it is like amplified sound. So I think people didn't realize that before until they started protesting the restrictions during the pandemic of just how easy it is. And now it's like, they just need to find something to protest and fight on. And then they just keep, I mean, there's a few kind of topic points, but other than that, they keep doing it.
The protesting, I feel, has gotten a little out of hand because I feel that people are protesting for everything. Like, I'm surprised we haven't seen a protest for like people that love dogs and hate cats.
Let's start one. Just kidding. It's more allergies to cats than anything for me.
Totally. But it just seems that whether it's what's going on at school, what's going on with the community, what's going on with every kind of little thing, people are just happy to voice their strong, often uneducated opinions.
Often very uneducated. Yeah. So in all your years of being an entrepreneur, what do you say is one of your biggest challenges that you've faced?
There's been lots of challenges. Being a retail store, there's things like supply chain issues. We deal with a company right now, and this is a prime example, is what used to take us like 7 to 10 days to receive the product. We are now sitting at like 45 days to receive the product. And, there's a multitude of reasons with companies. There is employment. Companies are struggling to find employees. There's raw material. There's the cost of raw materials. There's so many aspects of it.
Yeah.
So I would say that supply chain can be a big issue. Turnaround can be a big issue. And, finding employment can be, finding employees, because I feel that the employee pool has gotten smaller, and everyone's fighting for those employees.
And fighting for the good ones, because there's, the mentality of people has definitely shifted.
Yes.
It has. Like, I mean, there's some sense of entitlement out there.
Absolutely.
And go for it.
And, it's interesting because before, during an interview, we would interview the potential, whereas now it's almost a reverse. It's they're interviewing us. What are we going to bring to the table for them, so to speak?
Right. Which I think it's good to go both ways, because you want to make sure it's a good fit on both angles. Otherwise, 100%. They show up for 3 days and then they fuck off.
Totally.
Right? Because it just doesn't, whether it's values or, not fully realizing what the actual role was, because there's a lot of that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of, I would say, misconception of what goes into certain roles. I think that there are some people that think, they're just going to come to the store and they're going to play with dogs all day. And, it's, yes, we're fortunate because we do get to see dogs and stuff. But, on that flip side, one thing we never thought about when we got into the business is, yes, we get to see dogs, but we see them from the start to the end. And we never really thought of that end part. So there's been lots of cries in the corners with customers and such because, we become so close in dealing with their pets and finding proper nutrition or fixing ailments or what have you. And so, yeah, we definitely didn't think about that aspect when we got into this business.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't thought of that at all. Because I was thinking, that to me, that I would have thought more the vet side of things, because they're the one that can sometimes help wrap things up, I guess, in a sense, right?
Yeah. But yeah, there's been lots of times where like we don't see, like, we'll see a customer like all the time, and then we don't see them for a while, and it'll take them a while, and then they'll come in and they'll be like, Charlie passed away, or we had to do this, or we had to do that, and so it's definitely the downfall of our business is that part of it, because No one wants to deal with that.
Well, I mean, that's life, right? People die, animals die.
Yeah.
Like, it eventually happens.
It does.
There's no cure yet to
No.
keep you alive for forever. And I don't know if I necessarily want that.
No. It's funny because I was watching, oh gosh, why can't I remember it? It's got Goldie Hawn and I want to say Meryl Streep.
Oh, the death becomes
Yes.
it?
I just watched that last night. Speaking of this forever life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the big holes inside there.
Totally. And they need like the shellac on their face and yeah. Good times. Do we want to live forever?
Not like that.
No.
Maybe come back, in a future year. But
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to live forever.
I don't think they'll live forever. But like, if you could come back, it would be neat.
Yeah.
See what it's like in a couple hundred years. Kind of dumpster fire.
Gosh,
is.
could you imagine how crazy it would be? Like, if you left the world today and came back in a couple hundred years, it would be like, yeah. Or if you left the world today and went back a couple hundred years,
It'd be interesting to see for sure.
I think I would rather go back.
Is that because it's more predictable? Like, because you kind of have an idea?
No, I think that,
but-
this is going to sound weird, but I think that, like, let's say we went back a couple hundred years. We didn't have all the bullshit to worry about back then, And I think that life was, I don't want to say simpler.
But it kind of was.
It definitely, I don't think was easier, but I don't think that you had the opinions.
Well, because you didn't have the platforms for people,
Yeah.
to be, keyboard warriors.
Totally.
That's what a lot of them are.
Oh, yes.
Just these anonymous talking heads. And then with AI, that's a whole other conversation itself, too. So in all your years of, in your, I guess, a little over a decade, at least in the current business being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
what's one of your most memorable moments, in a good way?
Oh, there's so many. Opening the second store,
Yeah.
super memorable. Expanding, just being able to have a business in this environment that, one, can open another location, two, expand our first location.
Absolutely.
We're so fortunate in that sense. But, memories, I love when we're dealing with an animal that has, super bad issues. Like, in my mind, there's this one dog, and its name was Shiloh, and it was a Shiba Inu. And the dog had such bad, skin issues. Its hair was falling out, and the owners couldn't deal with it, and they just dumped it at Bark and Fly and never came back for it. And so this customer adopted the dog, and we worked for months with this dog, and I'll show you pictures after.
Yeah.
The dog is amazing. The dog looks like a dog, not like it has mange.
Wow.
And so it was just, it's amazing what we can do with proper nutrition and such.
Yeah.
And there's so many, we have so many success stories, so many good stories that, it's a great industry to be in. I'm so fortunate for the business that I am in because, well, one, pets don't talk back.
Just bark or bite sometimes.
Totally. But yeah,
Scratch.
like I said, typically pet owners are great. They care about their pet. They're there they want to know the proper nutrition or what supplements can work for this ailment or such like that. And yeah, I'm so fortunate that we have such a great customer base. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
And what would you say are some of the keys to your success along that?
With our business, there's lots of competition and such like that. Being a small business, we really strive on customer service. And our goal is to try to be one of the easiest places to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, I was, as soon as you walk in, someone always greets you.
Yeah.
And they're always like, can I help you? And usually I kind of know where I'm going. Someone's like, oh shit, what did I get? What was the protein last time? So, because I'm the type of person, I just like to go in and get my shit and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm going to stores, because, there are certain things like that where I do like the routine of just being able to go in and grab it and go. I don't need to sit and pitter patter.
And you're a business owner and you
Yeah.
talk all the time. So sometimes you just don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Which I get.
Totally.
There's times where
Yeah.
back in COVID started, I have to say is that one thing that I loved about it is I love being able to put a hat on, a mask on,
Yeah.
and I could just go out and no one really knew who I was. It wasn't
Right.
like, hey, you're John from Tailblazers or what have you, or hey, do I hear you on the radio or this and
Yeah.
that. It was, no one knew who I was. And so I kind of liked that.
Yeah.
The one benefit of COVID,
I still love when people are like, I recognize you from somewhere. And I'm like, could be any number of places, but you probably just see me somewhere in the news or whatever. It's usually within a month or so of some kind of article coming out or news story.
Do they ever come up to you and say, I know your voice. Where do I know your voice from?
Not the voice.
Oh,
no,
see, I
it's
get
the
that
look.
from the radio stuff.
Okay.
And they'll be like, your voice sounds, and they'll be like, hey. And I'm like, oh, gosh.
could be a voice actor.
Oh, yeah.
Being a queer entrepreneur, or queerpreneur as we like to call it, do you feel that there's, I guess, anything kind of unique in your line of business, being that you're queer?
I think that's what's unique being queer and owning a business is that you do get the support of the community typically.
Yeah.
Not saying that if I was straight and owned a business, I wouldn't have support of the straight community or what have you. I think it's just different. It's, I think it's just I don't know how to say that, but yeah.
Well, and I think, because the queer community, as long as you're not a piece of shit, we like to support each other.
Totally.
Right? Like, unless you're trying to, like, mine the community out of everything, which there are those people out there. Do you have any kind of vision for a legacy that you want to leave with your business?
Oh, that's such a hard thing because, we don't have children, so we definitely talk about, like, what's going to happen in the end or and such like that. So I don't know, as far as a legacy, I would just hope that when the time comes for me to retire or move on, what have you, is that people will just remember the great things that I did for their pets. That's a hard one. Oof. I hope that the employees feel that it was a great place to work.
Yeah. Just positive memories.
Totally.
Yeah.
No one wants negative memories. Like, oh, I remember him. He was a real asshole.
That piece of shit.
He killed my dog.
At least you're not making the food, so you can pass a little bit of the blame.
Totally.
I guess along that front is, how do you typically get involved in the community, whether it's queer or otherwise, as your business?
There's so many ways to get involved in the community, whether it's supporting through silent auctions or things like that. Like, we are always happy to give to those types of things. We support a lot through the dog rescues in town, which kind of go along with our business. We've supported Pride in the past. Pooches on Parade, many years. So yeah, I think that there's always places to support. Like we're supporting a hockey team right now, which is a first for us this year. So yeah, it's there's always going to find little ways that you just got to get your support into the community. There's so many areas in the community that you can support. We've even in the past done like coat drives for the homeless. We worked with Cheryl on that.
Right.
Yes. And so that's like I quite often have like bags of food in my car, and let's say we're driving down the road and there's someone homeless with a dog. I often will like pull over and give them food and such like that. Because, the amazing thing with the homeless community that have pets is people are often like, I don't think they should have pets or what have you. But those pets are treated so amazing. And, if I happen to be in a situation where I was on the streets or something, I would want that dog or cat or
still
rat.
It's love and
whatever.
affection.
Totally.
And like I say, I feel like they often feed the pet before they eat themselves.
100%.
Right? So, outside of living on the street, they've still got a decent life.
Yeah.
They're getting fed. They're loved.
Yeah, I don't think the pet worries about whether they're living in a house or...
No.
I think the pet just wants that affection and that connection. And
yeah. Agreed. Mine's precious. He would be upset.
Well, you've got a princess.
I do. Actually, last night was the first night he slept under the blankets in a little while. We went under this morning because my place is a little warmer than it was for a bit there.
Yeah.
It was pretty chilly, so every night he was like down, which I kind of like because it's nice to have this like little ball of fur. He's usually like right around kind of my midsection.
Yeah, I can't do it.
No?
No.
He does not all night. Like it's usually in the morning, so it's only for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, time to get up.
Yeah,
and then
no,
like this little face just comes crawling out, and then he like leans against me and just wants his pets and his snuggles, and he does this whole like head throwing back thing that he does.
Yeah, so our
You
dogs
also-
don't sleep in the bed.
You also bigger dogs.
We have bigger dogs, and we have 3 of them. But every morning, so Barton gets up earlier than I do because that's him. And
Smart.
so he gets up and he lets the dogs out and stuff. And then our oldest dog, Finnegan, he comes in and he goes under the blankets. And it's not like he cuddles or anything, but the thing with Whippets, they love a duvet.
Really?
Yes, everyone's like, oh, they need so much energy, and they need like half an hour a day, and then give them a duvet and a comfortable pillow, and they're like good to go.
Okay, we're gonna do lightning round.
Choo choo choo.
Yeah, so this or that, just quick answers. Dinner at a fancy restaurant or home cooked meal?
Home cooked meal.
Multiple short vacations or one long vacation a year?
Multiple short.
Agreed. Mexico or Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Why?
Well, that's not a this or the answer.
I know.
Mexico I've been to for quite a few times. You know, I appreciate them each for their own things. Mexico to me is a thoughtless trip. Like, you don't have to put much thought into it.
Right.
You just get on a plane, go to a resort, call it a
If
day.
you do an all-inclusive, yeah.
Hawaii, you know, a little bit longer of a trip. Cost is significantly different. But, you know, there's something special when you're, like, fly to Hawaii and you get off the plane and, like, the smell of Hawaii hits you, you know. Hawaii's just like its own little magical place in this world.
True. Yep. Spain or Portugal?
Haven't been to either, so I will say Spain.
Okay. I've done Spain, not Portugal, but I still like Spain. Vancouver, Victoria.
Victoria. Well, see, I lived in Vancouver. I never lived in Victoria. Again, I feel that the island has kind of a special kind of something in the air with the island. Vancouver, I find, definitely Victoria, because Vancouver, I find when I get there, I'm like, get me out of here. It's way too busy.
Agreed. I've lived there too.
And Victoria is just pretty.
And it's government town. It's just always a different vibe in a government city.
Yeah.
Like that. Early riser, sleep in.
I'm an early riser.
I'm getting there.
But as I say that, I'm not as early, because you're getting up at like, hold on, let me just clarify that. I would say that I'm like an early riser because I'm the type that I like to get up and I like to get going. Whereas Barton likes to get up and have coffee and he'll be like, can we do that this afternoon? Whereas I'm like, no, let's do it now so we have our afternoon free.
Get over.
But yeah, I definitely feel that I'm at my A game in the morning.
Drive or fly?
It depends upon where I'm going.
Oh my God, this is not lightning at all.
Listen, you changed that with
I
the
realize I
Hawaiians.
regret that one by asking an explanation.
Okay, so like I like to, let's say I was going to Vancouver. I think it depends though. Am I going for business or pleasure?
If it's drive or fly, what's your preference?
Depends upon the distance.
Mine's always fly. Like I get that there's times you have to drive or whatever, but if there's a clear choice, if I can just choose, it's flying.
Do you like a road trip?
I think that's a specific trip. If it's just like you're going somewhere and you have a choice to drive or fly, if I can fly, I will generally fly.
Okay, I'll agree with you.
Audiobooks or real books?
Neither.
Just don't.
You know, I'll read a book, like a trashy biography on a beach with a drink in my hand, but I'm not a reader. I wish I was. I know there's so many benefits of it, and I've never gone into audiobooks. Movies. I like movies. Well, sometimes. I like movies at home. I don't like movies in the theater.
I like both, but I'd rather watch a movie than read a book. I don't care if people say if the book's better. I will watch the movie.
I hate a theater. Like a movie theater? Ooh.
There's certain ones. The popcorn, it's just its experience of going out. When it's like the big
Do you like a
seats.
popcorn?
Oh, I love popcorn.
Oh, I hate popcorn.
Oh.
And so for me,
That's a good
I think
question.
my problem is with going to a movie is I have a hard time sitting there for that length of time. Like,
Yeah.
I like to watch a movie at home where I can get up and do dishes or do something else while I'm watching the movie, but just sitting there for that long of time is so difficult for me.
Fruit on a pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
No.
It depends upon the pizza.
Well, I mean, I'm just really talking about pineapple is at this point because
Do you like pineapple as a whole, though?
no,
So that's why you don't like pina coladas, probably.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really like pineapple. I actually picked it once when I was in Australia when I was 18. It was the worst fucking thing ever. Because it's 38 degrees. You've got fucking coveralls on and then gloves up to here. And the barbs on the leaves are still fucking carving you up.
So when you were in Hawaii, you didn't go to the Dole plantation?
Did we? I think we did. Went there once. It was many years ago. My parents took us on a trip.
So you don't like the Dole
Christmas.
Whip, like the pineapple ice cream stuff? Oh.
No. My favorite ice cream is lemon sorbet.
Oh. So you like the citrus?
Yeah.
But
I
just not the
love
pineapple.
citrus. Yeah. Favorite type of music?
Right now, I'm really into like hip hop and rap that we like grew up with and stuff. Like,
Okay, like old school.
yeah, like I enjoy like my Fly XM on Sirius. You know, like I like things that kind of like take me down memory lane, and I like things that bring back memories. And I love like knowing the words and busting out, and I'm that person in the car that you'd look over that's just going off.
I have those moments.
We have to have those moments.
Yeah,
we
sing
can't take
along.
ourselves so seriously.
Agreed. I love like when you're driving, you see someone just like rocking out to it. I'm like, yeah, they're having a good
Totally.
time.
Like I say that my dirty little secret is like I secretly love Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Like when like I'm driving down the road and she comes on and I'm belting out like I'm 16 and then had my first breakup. You know, it's great.
Did you buy tickets to her concert?
No. I'm not, you know, I wouldn't, if I had tickets, I would go, but I'm not, like, we have a friend that got tickets and said it was literally the most stressful experience in her life was trying to get these tickets. So I'm not going to, like, fight for tickets or anything, but I think going to a Taylor Swift concert would be a great experience. Like, I think the experience of it, and I think that in Canada, we're lucky because I think they're going to be the best Taylor Swift concerts because we don't have those huge,
That's
giant
big.
stadiums. Like Vancouver's going to be a great show if that's where she's closing her tour.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm the same way. I'm not big on these big concerts. Like, I will go if I have a ticket. And I had a friend in the past where it was Backstreet Boys and something else. And she's like, if I got you a ticket, would you come? I'm like, sure, I'll go with you. But I'm not going to spend $200 or whatever on a fucking seat because...
I think it's hard because Barton loves Madonna, so that's like...
I heard she's such a bitch.
Well, we're not hanging out with her. But, you know, like I'm fortunate because he doesn't spend money on many things at all. But yes, he likes his Madonna concerts, and
Sorry,
we've
everyone has their guilty
been
pleasure.
to many of them, and we're going again in February.
I kick myself because the very first time I was in Vegas, Cher had a residency, and there was like, you know, I think there were $250 seats in the friggin' nosebleeds, and we just said no. And I'm like, that was one person I would have loved to have seen.
You know,
Cher.
concerts I enjoy. Like, I
Yeah.
think they're fun. You know, even concerts that I normally wouldn't like go to see. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's just a fun experience. The energy, I like the energy
True,
in the
yeah.
concerts.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think because I also the work I do, I'm like, if I'm not running an event, half the time, like, I don't want to go out. I think this last year's been kind of wild. So this last little bit, I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll go, you know, smile and then go home.
Totally. And that's the thing that you're in events all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not really, it's like for me that doesn't do events, going to an event is like something different. Where for you,
Totally.
where you're like, do you find yourself like, the lighting sucks or they should be doing
Oh,
this?
I can
or-
definitely be critical
Yeah.
sometimes. But I'm also in there trying to steal ideas of
Oh,
like,
that's
ooh,
good.
they're doing this really well. This is a good idea and something I can steal.
That's good. So
Yeah.
really you could go to every concert and it would be a business expense for
Well, true.
you. You're teaching yourself.
I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
This is Pro D.
Totally. You know, one of the best pieces of advice I got is with business you have to learn to steal from yourself.
Valid.
Business,
Good
you
point.
need two good things.
Yeah.
You need a good accountant and a good lawyer.
Yes, agreed. I've got one of those, not the other. And I'm going to leave it at that. What's your favorite place to vacation to?
You know, I love Palm Springs, but you know it's hard because Barton won't go.
Oh, because it's in the States.
Yeah, so
That's fine. That's your favorite place. That's your
Okay.
favorite place, whether you're going or not.
yeah, like I just think that there's something about it. Like I love the airport. Have you been yet?
I haven't yet.
I can't even
It's on
believe
the
that.
list. I'm trying to like plan it when I know someone that's down there that's going.
Yeah, it's so clean. It's like the cleanest place I've ever been.
Wasn't like Mercer City Council queer?
I would imagine so.
That's probably why.
It's just like a vibe that I like. You know,
Yeah.
I enjoy a beach, but like when I go on holidays, I kind of like just to super unplug. Like I don't want to schedule. I don't like. We see these people that are going on vacations and they're like, everything is planned by like the day. I'm like, that to me is not a vacation.
Absolutely not.
And like I think that's why like with Vegas, like I've been to Vegas and it's not my jam because I find that there's so much going on that it's almost like a sensory overload for me, that it's too much.
Oh, 100%. And that's when I go to Vegas, I typically only like going when someone else is paying for it because I'm going to work.
Yeah.
And then it's not so bad. Because also all my expenses are covered when everything's so stupidly priced.
Another place I really like going is Tofino.
I was waiting for Tofino because I know you've been there a couple times.
Yeah, it's close. It's weird. Like, I like to go like in the rainy season because like I'm going to Tofino. Like people that are like, I went to Tofino and it rained, and they're surprised. It's like, well, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
it's Tofino. And I like that kind of West Coast. Yeah,
it's human.
It's great.
Yeah. So a couple last questions to kind of wrap things up. One is, how do you handle work-life balance and self-care as an entrepreneur?
You've got to make time. So 2 things that I like is I do Pilates and I hike in nature. I find that there's something amazing about nature, being able to get out of town, not hear the traffic and all the noises, and just hear nature. It's quiet, it's calm.
Yeah.
And like I'm up there with the dogs, and just being out with the dogs is just great.
Yeah, seeing them run around, enjoy the environment.
Totally.
Yeah. Cool. How about tips or strategies for building resilience or perseverance in the face of adversity?
Ooh. Be yourself. Don't give a shit what people think. The people that are making you feel a certain way aren't people you want in your life. Have people in your life that enrich your life, that that you can learn from, that you bring something to your life. Don't just have people in your life, just have people in your life.
It's true.
And that goes the same with like whether it's like work or, well, quite often work you can't control on who you have. I understand that. But like it's what I've learned and what I really like about getting older is the things that you learn with things. And I've found that I have the ability now to appreciate everyone for who they are. I may not like who they are, but I can appreciate who they are.
Yeah. And you don't have to like them.
No.
Right?
If I liked everyone, the world would be boring.
Yeah.
Like, if we all thought the same and did the same, it would just be so boring.
It would be. It'd just all be robots, basically.
Totally.
Right? Any favorite books, podcasts, or audiobooks that you would recommend for other entrepreneurs?
No.
See?
Yes. I think that there's a documentary that everyone should watch, and it's called Pet Fooled. And it's about the pet food industry. And I think it would open a lot of eyes and understand the importance of feeding proper nutrition and what is able to go into pet food by law and such. Like, it's an eye-opener.
Well, I think yes, I agree that's important. I think, but that's like any of us in life, even what we put in our own bodies.
Totally.
Same kind of thing, right? There's just so many lies and bullshit out there of what.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Good marketing.
Yeah.
Right. Pet Fooled. Where can you watch it? Do you know?
You can watch it on Netflix. We have a copy of DVDs at our store.
No.
Do you have a DVD player still? I asked someone that the other day, and they're like, "What?
What's a DVD?" And final question is, what advice would you give other queer individuals who are aspiring to be an entrepreneur?
Do it.
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done, but if it's what you feel your passion is, there's always going to be people that find the same passions. I've never looked back on doing it. Like, yes, there was definitely struggles for a few years and such, going from a corporate job to being a business owner and such. But it was the best decision that I've made. I'm very fortunate because I have a spouse that I do this with, that we get along, and I can't imagine doing it with anyone else. Definitely there's times where all we talk about is business.
Sure.
But again, that comes to figuring out that work-life balance and being able to be like, hey, I can't talk about this anymore. Like, it's 6:00.
Yeah.
The clock is done. But yeah, I think the interesting thing with having a business with your spouse is, like, COVID came around and everyone was like, oh my God, I can't be around my spouse anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, it was just, this
Another
is
day.
normal. This is like what we do all the time. But back to your question, I think, do it. Find a way to do it. Find people that are going to support your dreams, and, just do it. Like, I know that's easier said than done because of financials and such like that.
Sure.
But there's always a will and a way.
Yeah. Got to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Kind of like this podcast.
Totally. And you know, in a few years you'll look back and be like, you know, I was so nervous about doing this, or I didn't know how it would be or such, and then you'll be like,
Well, again, my thing was a lot of like trying to make things perfect, because obviously we've been doing a lot of streaming and recording and all of that. And so, you know, I had a particular vision of the kind of look and feel that I wanted, but it's evolving, and it still will. It'll continue to evolve, especially, you know, as we take it on the road and do stuff like that. And so I got to remember, just sometimes you just got to fucking do it.
totally. And that's the thing with business, I think that people
You
need
have
to
to start.
understand is that, one, there's never going to be perfection. Nothing is
Totally.
perfect.
Yep.
And two, you have to be able to kind of pivot on the fly, because today can be completely different from yesterday, and you never know what's going to happen. So just being able to kind of be able to pivot is very important. And I think that's in life as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, you try and be as proactive as you can, but you have to be able to be reactive.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, in the industry I'm in with the pandemic, because it was every time we turned around, there was some other announcement, and we're having to change how we do things.
Yeah.
So thankfully it's not like that anymore, but you're always getting curveballs thrown at you.
And I think that's the benefit of, kind of a benefit about COVID is being a business owner in COVID. You had to be able to pivot to be able to continue, you know,
Yeah.
and we've seen a lot of businesses that weren't able to pivot, and
100%.
unfortunately they're not here anymore.
Yeah. I look at it though too, and I think, because, you know, Unicorns Live likely wouldn't have been here without COVID. And so there's a lot of really cool stuff that I feel fortunate to have done because of COVID. And, you know, the business evolved many a times. And while we've gone back to some things from pre-COVID, there's still a lot that we haven't.
And I think that's a good point though. It's like, quite often through shitty things, positive come.
True. And that was one thing I had to learn over the pandemic, because at times it just felt like, you know, it's attack after attack after attack. And I'm like, hey, I really got to rethink this. And how do I take it and move forward? Because it's outside of your control, and you just got to fucking deal with it sometimes.
And I think with businesses is, I think that you have to like, there's lots of shitty things that go on in business, but the way that I look at it is, did I learn from it?
Yep.
If I've learned something from it, it's not really a shitty situation, because in that next time when that shitty situation happens, I will know how to deal with it.
Right.
I try to look at everything, if I can learn from it,
Yeah.
it's not that bad of a situation.
Well, we have to constantly grow and learn. Otherwise,
We have to.
It'd just be boring.
Totally.
So I feel like that's a better way to end the podcast off. A little more positive and uplifting. But yeah, thanks for being your episode 1. So
Yay.
thanks for helping me rip the Band-Aid off.
No problem, anytime.
And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, it's great. It's great to chat. I mean, obviously we chat regularly, but this was a bit more, I wouldn't even call it structured, just a bit more maybe targeted. I like targeted. Anyway, it was good to chat a bit more on business specifically.
Yeah, totally.
So
I
it
agree.
was fun. And for those listening or watching, thanks for joining us on Queerpreneurs Unleashed, and stay tuned for more episodes. Awesome.